Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we discuss, does Matt Stafford hate Detroit Lions fans? The reason we are asking this question is because we all know the whole story of Matt Stafford playing for the Lions for 12 years, then getting traded to the Rams, winning a Super Bowl. And, he said a lot of nice things about Detroit and his time there since he left. But after the game, Matt Stafford had some interesting comments when he was asked if he was happy for the city of Detroit winning their first playoff game in 3 decades. So we'll go ahead and play that clip right now, and then we will discuss.
When Sean McVay was up here, he said that he was happy for Jared Goff and whatnot through their time together. You've been here in Detroit for your first 12 seasons. Just how do you feel about the city of Detroit?
Okay, interesting little comment there. He does not acknowledge the city of Detroit, and he says he is happy for the Detroit Lions players. So I want to give a little bit more of a context to this. And basically, Matt Stafford, and I'll say his wife too, because his wife has made some public statements about Detroit too. They have basically said nothing negative about Detroit from that I know of. There could be something else that is going on there that I don't know about. There could be some sort of quotes that I don't know about, but he has been pretty cordial with Detroit and basically said, "Hey, Detroit's always going to mean a lot to me." His wife said something recently after she responded to this fan account, and the fan account basically said like for Detroit Lions fan account, like, hey, no one wears Stafford jerseys to the game this weekend. There was local bars in Detroit that were saying we're banning Stafford jerseys for the game this weekend. And I think basically, Mrs. Stafford, I believe her name's Kelly, basically said like, hey, I'm kind of upset about this. We spent 12 years here. We haven't said anything bad about it. We loved our time here. We're ashamed that the fans are kind of treating them this way. And I think Matt Stafford too, because he played in Detroit for a few years, and there were a lot of very talented stars that end up leaving Detroit after a while. Barry Sanders, obviously we know. Calvin Johnson, we obviously know. And I think Stafford kind of saw how the fans treat Calvin Johnson and how the fans treat Barry Sanders when he comes back. And I think he sees that and he's like, oh, well, if they're going to treat them for leaving and that way for their leaving with that amount of respect, that amount of reverence for leaving, they'll treat me that way. The only difference between Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, and Matt Stafford is that Matt Stafford, like Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, they didn't ask out. They didn't say, hey, trade me to a team where I can win. Trade me to a team where I win. I'll leave in free agency. Nothing like that. Matt Stafford asked for a trade. And asking for a trade, again, right or wrong, a lot of the Detroit fans think that, like, hey, he thinks he's better than us. He thinks he's too good for Detroit, even though that might not even entirely be the case, even though he might have not said that publicly, especially when you leave and you go and win and you go and have success somewhere else in a better city with a bigger market and more publicity. The Detroit fans aren't necessarily going to be the most receptive to that. And I think, not saying that they wanted this, but like there's no way on earth while Matt Stafford is still playing that the Detroit Lions fans would have Matt Stafford come in a Rams jersey and they'd be like, yes, thank you for your accomplishments here. You were the all-time leading passer in Detroit Lions history. Yes, thank you very much, Matt. We very much appreciate you. No, that's not how fandom works, guys. That's not how this fandom works. And if the Staffords were expecting something like that, they're delusional and they don't understand how fans work. Now, with that being said, if Detroit Lions fans were saying cruel things to Stafford, vulgar things to Stafford and his family, saying messed up things like that, then I'm obviously it's not okay. Obviously that is not okay. But things where like they're chanting Jared Goff, things where they're banning, his jersey from the stadium, which again, the organization didn't do that. It was more of a fan pushed thing. Or at bars they banned them. Doing things like that, I think that's completely fine. That is completely fine. That is just fans being fans. That's just saying, hey man, we're moving on from you. And I'm completely fine with that. If they did something where they like would even vandalize a jersey or something like that, or they had like a Stafford jersey burning thing, maybe that would be a little bit of a different scenario here. But if the Staffords thought that like they were going to get this warm, embraceful celebration, like you guys left. you guys left, and whether it was the right again, in a weird way, both teams won this trade because the Lions got multiple draft picks that they used to, get talented players that are a part of this team right now. They got Jared Goff out of that deal. It's a weird one of those win-win trades. And it's also kind of like, I was kind of thinking of this, and this might be my last point on this before we go here, is how fans kind of like how we kind of react to stars leaving. Because obviously when stars leave, fans obviously aren't, necessarily the most happy about it. But I do think maybe the last, maybe since LeBron left from Cleveland to Miami, we've had a little bit of more of an open mind to some of this stuff. Um, and I think actually, for the most part, fans are okay if a player leaves in free agency. I actually think for the most part, we've kind of accepted that. A thing that fans have not accepted, and a thing I don't know if they ever will accept, is, and we talked about this a few days ago when we did the Carmelo Anthony, video with him leaving Denver for New York, is fans don't like it when you request a trade. Fans do not like it when you request a trade, even though maybe in some weird way, maybe if you're the person that is the player that is requesting a trade, maybe this is how you view it. Actually, it's better for me to request a trade because I'm so valuable. When Matt Stafford requests a trade from the Lions, you get Jared Goff and you get multiple picks. When Carmelo Anthony requests a trade from the Nuggets to the Knicks, the Knicks got, the Nuggets got some players. We saw that multiple times in the NBA these last few years. Yes, Paul George's asked out of OKC, but OKC the Clippers give them Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So it's a weird thing where how we view it, where it's like when they leave in free agency, we're a little bit more accepting. When they request a trade because of the optics of it, we don't necessarily like that stuff. Now, you could say, too, you could have also another argument here, too. And this is more of an NBA thing here than it necessarily is like an NFL thing, where it's like, well, the fact that you signed a contract here, you agreed with this stuff. Now, the NBA, it's a little bit more greedy, where it's like they might, depending on where you are, you can get bigger contracts with, the team that you're already on than you could that the team you'd be getting traded to. So the players will sign those supermax extensions and then ask for the trade like a year later or something like that. So let me know in the comments, guys. Obviously, kind of to tie a bow on this thing, if there's any sort of vulgar, bad chance that we're headed towards Matt Stafford's direction, which I'm sure there were, and that's probably a reason why like Stafford acted the way he did in the postgame. Also, Stafford got the crap kicked out of him that game. Like, it looked like he had a concussion. It looked like he could have broken some ribs. His hand might have been broken. So, like, credit to Stafford just being a tough, MFer and, sticking out that game, man. Props to him. But I'm okay with Detroit fans, doing jersey bans at stadiums, at games, maybe doing even a little bit of trash talk. Again, anything that's vulgar, malicious, directed at his family. Don't like that stuff. But again, just clean old fashioned trash talk, jersey bans. I'm all cool with that. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Does Matt Stafford hate Detroit? I guess, okay, I have one more point. And I don't think I said this earlier. If Stafford thought that like he was going to get some sort of ovation and the Detroit Lions fans are going to be, give him some sort of ovation. I'm not saying he thought that, but if he thought that that was going to happen, it's not going to happen while you're playing. It's going to happen 10 years from now when you're retired, 15 years from now when you're retired. Maybe, I don't know if it's going to be 10, 15 years, 20 years from now when you're inducted into the Ring of Honor for Detroit. When that happens, I think the fans will, show you how much those 12 years that you were on the team did mean to them. So there you have it, guys. That's going to do it for this episode here. Let me know what you think in the comments. And I also apologize for the other two videos I posted today, the Taylor Swift one and the Cowboys one. My mic wasn't on. It was like, it was on, but it wasn't connected to the software I used to record. So the audio on those are just poor. I very much apologize if you watch those videos or if you plan on watching those videos after this one. So very much apologize for that. But the content on those is still very, very good. It's just the audio might be a little bit off. The picture's good, audio not the best. So thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you next time.